what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. I would say some actual interesting debate going on in the chat about whether or not this season was a success. I tend to be an optimistic person, so maybe that's discoloring it. Some of y'all maybe drive a harder bargain than I do. I still think if you look at where you were 2 years ago with the classic 38 scholarship players available for the Texas Bowl, and then the sub 500 record of over a 2-year sample to now where you are in a much better spot. At this point, I feel like the foundation has been laid, Jake, right? Now you got to build on it. Where that maybe becomes a bit scary is, and this is why you really got to get this Madhouse decision right. And I'm not saying that one way is objective right or the other. Like maybe Brian Kelly keeps him. And I mean, I know that they know more football than I do, both of those men. And so like maybe they keep him and we figure out like something was personnel and next year they're awesome and I'm wrong, right? Whatever. The point is, the foundation's been laid now, so what's been good enough up to this point will no longer be good enough. You're going to have to continue to ascend, and you have to do that now as you're losing Jaden Daniels and losing some of this offense. You're retaining some of it, but you're losing other parts of it. And so, like, the defense cannot you are not going to get bailed out next year like you did this year. I mean, if you didn't have JD this year, what's your final record? Instead of 9-3, I mean, maybe like 6-6,
7-5 feels.
I mean, you lose to Mizzou. It's a very good chance you lose to A&M.
I mean, Florida game got hairy there for a little bit.
Yeah, so whatever, you get the point, right?
JD5 takes over, hits a couple of 50-yarder, 85-yarder.
Yeah, and so it's like it's one of those deals where we're going to be expecting more, but you got to do it without potential Heisman winner, and we'll see.
I think 9-3, and we're talking about like success or failure. Like, and someone in the chat said success feels like too strong of a word, and maybe you're right there, but it's certainly not a failure.
It's crazy, dude.
It's not a failure by any means, and you have a chance. And I know the expectation. You've won the second most national championships in the last 2 decades in college football. Like, I know that expectation. But like T-Bob said, like where you were, like I was on the sideline of the Texas Bowl against Kansas State. Like I've never had a worse feeling as an LSU fan, and I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, and still, like, because in the 90s, like we didn't know any better. Like we're fired up to play Michigan State in the Independence Bowl. But like now that we know better, I'm sitting there and like it was an embarrassing feeling. I'll be honest with you. Like as someone who played for the program and has seen where the program can go. And I realized there's a lot of different factors that led to there being 39 scholarship players in that game. It was embarrassing. Like to know that, and I love John Trey Kirkland, but to know that you're LSU and you had to have a receiver play quarterback in a bowl game, it was fun. Like it was exciting and he threw 3 touchdown passes, but like that's not LSU. And so like to be there to where you're at now, I will call that successful. And now you have to continue to build on it.
Yeah. And also as, I get how low the defense got really casts a pall, but in the same light, I mean, you're sending a quarterback to New York, like in the least. And, I mean, how many players from LSU have made it to New York? Obviously, Billy Cannon. Tyron. Did Glenn make it?
No. He finished like 7th that year, but he didn't make it to New York.
Yeah, so you got Cannon, Tyron, Burrow.
You had
now Jaden.
Who finished 2nd? Didn't Jerry Stovall?
Jerry Stovall finished 2nd twice.
Oh, okay. So Stovall's, excuse me, that's on me. Shoot, that kind of shows you though how much it means to win it, right? So like if nothing else, you're sending a quarterback to New York for the second time in 5 years, which is an awesome recruiting chip. And then if he actually wins this thing, which he may, though, Oregon heavy favorites early against Washington. But if JD5 actually wins this thing, well then that I would say that makes the season like an unqualified success actually, because that can be used for years and years going forward in recruiting and to establish a base of like if you want to come here and see your quarterback dreams flourish in an ever increasingly important transfer quarterback market. When you can point to Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, that is massive. So,
yeah, I think
we'll see.
Yeah, that's why this game was so big, and that's why we talked about it last week with what it was going to do one way or the other for the program. And if you lost this game, if you lost that game and you came in here today and LSU was 8-4 and Jaden would have not had an opportunity, like regardless of what he did, if you'd have lost that game, he would have been completely out of it, which is crazy, but that's just the way that award goes. So to win that game, to have those things still available, yeah, there's still things that you can achieve. And like you don't know where you're going to go bowling, but you're probably going to be playing against a good team and have a chance. And Malik Neighbors has said he's playing in the bowl game. Now there's a long time from now until then.
Did say that?
Yeah, he said he wants to break the all-time record. He's 20 yards away.
I know, he had it. If not for the friggin' holding call,
so
dude.
you should
That was the
probably
record
thank,
right
you
there.
should probably thank Kyron Lacey if Malik plays in the bowl game.
I don't need to see Malik again. I mean, he's awesome, dude. Go do your thing. Do whatever you need to do. I'm just angry about that.
But he wants to
holding
break
call.
Josh Reed's record. Now, he already has the receptions. He wants to break the yards. And so it could have been in the moment. It could have been right after the game. But he said, I want to play in the bowl game because I want to break that record.
Yeah.
And so, like, you still have things that you can achieve within this season. This regular season is over, but you still have the potential Heisman. Should have the Biletnikoff, but we know how that goes, and people still putting Marvin Harrison, who didn't have 100 yards yet again in the Heisman conversation, whatever.
It's just Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels. That's all it is.
For
right?
that, yes, for that, yeah. And then Michael Penix will be there.
Yeah.
But even if he beats Bo Nix twice.
If he beats Bo Nix twice, it becomes a conversation, but statistically, he's not even close to Jaden Daniels. I mean, even Nix isn't that close. He's just the only one in the neighborhood.
Right. And so, speaking of neighborhood, if Neighbors wins the Biletnikoff, which he should, but he probably won't because of Marvin Harrison, like, there's still things that you can add to the totality of what this season is, right? You can't take anything away right now, but you can add. And so, like, the story for this season is not completely done yet.
Did Leonard Fournette go to New York?
No.
Okay. Chat says we said so far. Tommy Casanova and Burt Jones made it, says Dane Bergeron. I could see that. I don't know about. I could see Casanova being the case. Gerald Boyette saying Charles Alexander finished second. A couple people mentioned this, so maybe those guys made it as well. Does kind of show you the difference between winning it, though, right?
God, can you imagine finishing second in the Heisman Trophy?
No.
Be cool to be there, but also, just to know you were that close.
I do know what it feels like to finish second, and it's not good. Does not feel good.
Yeah.
At all.
Even losing an SEC championship game in 2005 felt awful. So, yeah, I can't imagine second in the country.
Matt C says, the thing about defense is it looked like they really did try everything to cover up deficiencies. The handling of Perk was bad, not Spine and Bama, but it seems like they did everything. I don't know. I mean, again, I really struggle with, even though Harold Perkins, you look up and he has okay stats this year, I really struggle with how the lack of game impact that he had at times this year compared to last year. I struggle with the regression of the defensive line, not just like a lack of improvement, but an actual active regression, and just kind of watching the same issues just crop up time and time again.
I would love to sit down and just talk it through as far as like, okay, in this situation, why this personnel, why this alignment?
Yeah.
Because I would like, hey, we had to put, him there because even though he's better at this guy couldn't do what we had him do. All those situations.
Mm-hmm.
Because, 3 weeks ago, Harold Perkins had like the best coverage grade of any linebacker in the country. And so like you see that and you're like, okay, well, I guess he was trying to cover up for some of the deficiencies they had. But also it's like, man, the thing he does really, really well, you weren't able to do. How much could you have tried to mix it up a little bit. Hey, and covered 7 times on these 3 plays. You're going to be a rusher twice. You're going to be a spy once, whatever that might be.
Yeah. So we'll see. I do remember. I did hear a rumor that like after the Ole Miss game that Kelly basically did call House into the office and did what you just said, Jake, like fine-tooth combed the film for hours and hours. Like, why was this a group? Why was this a call? Explain it. But we'll see where that goes. And interestingly, those offseason decisions will likely impact how people feel about the season as a whole. So, wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.